5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devin, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins and let's drop in.
All right, who's doing it? Who's got the echo going? Oh, that's me. Welcome, Freelancers, to episode 49 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-hosts, Mike, Devin, and JD. And this is the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet. We're all professionals here. Nothing ever goes wrong. We always have our sound muted where it needs to be muted. Guys, how are you today on episode 49?
I'm feeling very sanctioned today.
I'm unsanctioned.
You've got that vibe going.
This is the longest running unsanctioned podcast where we have multiple developers on the podcast. But because we are unsanctioned, you can't really trust what they say. So
nope. Or us.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't trust us either. That's right.
We're all a little salty tonight. It's all right.
Because you never know, them devs could be lying to us.
I don't think they are.
No, what I want to know, guys.
I don't think they are.
We are sitting at 198 days until Anthem gets released.
Yeah.
191 days until it gets released with what is it, Origin Premiere? Is that what it's called?
Origin Access Premiere.
Origin Access.
Is it Premiere Origin Access?
Just Origin Access.
Origin Access and Origin Access Premiere.
So 191 days until that happens. So I am going to assume that the demos are going to happen before that. So, man, I mean, we're getting closer and closer every day. I can't believe it. It's like time marches on and continues on without us. So as we get into episode 49, we want to know, we always find a fun little question to learn more about our host. So today, I want to know, what was your guys' first car that you bought? Not that was just given to you, or a car that you bought. First vehicle that you bought. Mike?
I have to change my whole answer.
Oh, really? Devin,
you because I read it as your first car. Because I think the question says, what was your first car?
I could see where you would get confused.
You know how Steven, makes an order and then, very first question breaks the order? I mean, that's how it goes, right?
So let me tell you, I will kick this ball off rolling because I know Steven is really excited to be with us this evening. So I'm going to tell you that the first car that I ever owned, because at this point in time I didn't own it. I mean, my parents bought it for me. But it was a Pontiac Grand Am, and I didn't get it until my senior year of high school.
Ooh, what color was that Pontiac Grand Am?
It was blue. Is blue. Pretty sure it's still blue.
It was blue. I'm pretty sure your youngest brother wrecked it into.
My youngest brother did it. Don't indict him on live television. Live video vision. Anyway.
Devin?
But I didn't get it to my senior year, so it was kind of stinky. But still got it. So it was cool. It was cool. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for giving me a car my senior year, high school.
First car ever. Pretty sure I had a license.
My first car was a Mazda 300 4-door, silver. It was my aunt and uncle's, who then sold it to my sister, who then sold it to me.
Your sister sold you? Wow.
Yeah, so there's no freebies in my family, okay?
So. Well, I guess it depends. Anyway, JD?
So by that criteria, I haven't bought my first car yet. I was given a Dodge Ram when I was I think 17, because we had been working on this 1970 Volkswagen bus, and we just could not get it to work. I guess it was just too far gone, and my mom had concerns about safety. And so I had a Dodge Ram, and I've kept it in really good shape for the last 10 years.
Would you say that your Volkswagen van had a rough 60s?
I would say that.
It wasn't
around. It wasn't around in the 60s. It was made in the 70s.
It was just too far out, man.
Hey.
Wow.
See what I did there?
So was that joke.
See what I did there?
And he got set up. So that's like his dream, in high school.
Thanks, Devin. Thanks for bringing us back, man.
Oh, Devin, you're going to bring us back in some way we teased before about something, and there's a segue in there somewhere. So, Devin, you're going to break us down on a pretty sweet giveaway.
Yes. Excuse me. So, while we didn't get to go to Comic-Con, the internet has ways to give you things, right?
Or sell you things.
Or sell you things, because
Nothing free
people
here.
go to Comic-Con and they don't really care about what they get, and there's like eBay. But anyway, so I was like, all right. So I got us some pins from Comic-Con to give away. And the first one we're going to give away is this Interceptor. Right
Ooh,
here.
that's fancy. Look at that green. That's like, was that Kawasaki green?
Interceptor green.
It's not as bright as the regular Interceptor. It's green, but not as bright.
Okay.
It's still cool.
Very
So how are we
Yeah.
gonna do this? What kind of
wish I had
giveaway
one.
do you wanna? What kind of giveaway are we gonna do for this Interceptor pin?
For this Interceptor, we're going to start with a basic Twitter giveaway. So all you have to do is follow and retweet our Freelancer Codex podcast Twitter handle. It's going to put something up there. I'm sure Steven will, because that's what he likes to do. So
That is what I do. We'll put up something after the show goes live. We'll attach it maybe to the posting of this show, and then people just have to follow and retweet, and then you'll get put in the drawing to win an Interceptor pin. That so far, I mean, you can't buy them anywhere unless you buy them on eBay. But you know, the last time I was looking at prices because I want a set and I can't win a set. They're pretty high up there. So this is a pretty cool giveaway.
if you're
I'm
a
excited
developer, you can even enter. I mean, because I know you didn't get any. So
No freebies for the developers. They can.
Oh, they have the same chance of winning
we
as
don't
everybody else.
discriminate, Steven. All right?
Yep. They have the same chance of winning.
I mean, we
RGM.
have more posters than the developers.
This is how we get it back.
Did you
This
Everybody
is how we
knows it.
make our money back. Yeah.
Everybody
RNG.
knows that Ben Irving is just biting
What is
at
it?
the bit for this set of pins. So.
All right, guys. This is the longest running Anthem podcast on the internet, so we are here to talk about all things Anthem related. There's not been a lot of news that has come out recently. We know that I believe it's this Saturday. There's going to be a panel at PAX. It's not this Saturday. Next Saturday. The following Saturday.
Why don't we just have Devin tell us when it's going to be?
No, this is great radio. So, Devin, you keep shaking your head because I have my dates wrong here.
No, it's what was it? It's like the end of the month, isn't it? It's when PAX is. It's at the end of the month.
Let's get on
Same
and find
time as
out.
Game
We have that
Wait,
technology.
Devin, were you nodding or like shaking your head and you weren't even sure?
I knew it wasn't like this weekend or next weekend, but you know, it's like there. It's out there.
Ooh.
Please pause
Yeah.
while we go to our fact checker and find out
August
exactly when
31st
PAX is.
and September 3rd. So it is several weeks away. Yeah, it's about 4 weeks away. But that's coming up pretty soon. Man, school's starting soon. So anyway, that's going to happen. That's probably going to be the next time we hear any new information about Anthem, I'm guessing. We haven't. Evs have kind of gone a little bit quiet recently. Mark Dare is still answering questions on Twitter. There hasn't been a lot of questions that have really stood out. To me anyway, that said, oh, this is something that we haven't known yet. Has there been anything that, as you guys have been watching Mark tweet out, that has really stood out to you?
Well, the new thing he talked about was like they asked who pilots the Sentinels, right? That whole thing. I was like, well, Lancers, and it's like, well, is he just messing with us, or is it like, you know, legit? You know, the Lancers pilot the Sentinels, and so because when Mike was on, he mentioned the Lancers, you know, as a separate faction, and the Sentinels as a separate faction,
And
So-
the Freelancers as a separate faction, all in the same breath. So
Yeah.
I'm sure
And-
there's more context out there somewhere, just not available for us.
Just not giving it to us yet. Keeping
And
it
it's really
close to the
hard to-
chest.
yeah, so take it
So,
take
yeah.
it with a grain of salt. I think he also did mention that weapons can be broken down for materials.
Yep.
Someone asked about that, so I mean that's kind of something that I think we all kind of expected would happen. So I mean it'd be really weird if you sold a weapon or you broke down a weapon and didn't get anything. But so that's something that's going to happen. It's probably going to go into the customization of weapons, being able to build weapons, and being able to forge different weapons. So.
Yeah.
Other than that, there wasn't too much. So what I wanted to talk about today, we have talked a little bit about the enemies that we've seen in the videos. We've talked about the creatures that we've seen in the videos. We haven't really gone and done a deep dive into what they look like, kind of the form factor, things that they remind us of. So I think that's what we're going to do now. We're going to take a look at all the what.
I'm just thinking of your space cow. I don't know.
Okay.
Space cow.
We're going to dive in here. I'm going to pull these up, and we're going to go through these one at a time. I don't know what that beep was. Let's ignore the beep, I guess.
Warning, your computer is overheating.
All right, so there used to be buttons here that I would push that would make this thing pop up. Those buttons are not here right now. So as I stall, or as my co-host just let me like flounder out here as I try to figure out where these buttons are, and they just leave me hanging.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut Steven off because as lovely as his banter and intermonologue are, I think we've had enough of that. So today we're talking about creatures and the creatures of Anthem and the things that we're gonna potentially see and run into, the things that we might have to farm. Didn't Mike tell us that we might have to farm a few creatures at one time?
No. He said you couldn't get any farming from the creatures.
Oh, there it is.
No farming from the creatures. So
I think he said something about there being certain types of. Well, I think he said something about there being certain types of like tasks where it might say to go out and kill like a certain number of these things, but you're not killing them specifically for the task.
But we're doing it for some reason. But we're doing it for some reason for the good of the fort. Like, is it a food source? Are they That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about today when we talk about space cows, because it seems like space cows could be good food. But we're going to throw it back to Steve, who has our first image pulled up of the. Steven thinks they're fish, but I'm pretty sure they're not. So
thanks, Mike. You did a fantastic job of covering for me. I'm pretty sure Ben said that there'll be ample reason to kill everything that you see because you will get materials from it. I'm pretty sure that was a quote from this very podcast. In fact,
we can pull that up, can't we?
It's unsanctioned. I wouldn't trust it.
Okay, so this is the first thing we have. This is the Grabbit. They've called this thing the Grabbit. We at least know the name of it. I don't know if that's the official name. It doesn't sound like that would be the official name because it has rabbit, and they probably don't have rabbits on this.
No, they told us that. They told us that at EA Play.
They
Remember
did.
In the first demo, we were flying through, and Ben goes, "Should we kill these Grabbits?" And everybody's like, "Yeah!" And he's like,
"No,
too late. We passed him."
No, you don't think that's just kind of like a pet name that they have in studio for this thing? Because I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. Rabbits.
Well, I would hope maybe that they're not expending too many resources on this stuff, and so they come up with simple kind of names like, "Yeah, let's grab it."
Yeah, Mark.
Maybe someone said, "Hey, grab that for me," and the guy's like, "I'm gonna name this the Grabbit."
Yeah, it was called the Grabbit in the Twitch stream for the AMAA with A. A.
Yes.
We got it. Yes, thanks. We got the A's, JD.
It's horrible.
All right, so looking at this thing first, Devin? The first thing that pops in your mind when you look at a Grabbit is what?
It's a little bit colorful. Kind of looks maybe a little fishy, but I do agree with Steven that it kind of does look like a fish.
Like it's up to no good.
No, not that kind of fishy. Not your kind of fishy.
Hey, now.
It just is no good.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like it kind of has some scales, and it's got the feelers coming off of it. I don't know. It's got two tails. Steven will go into that. So
yeah,
Steve's got a whole theory. He's got a whole theory.
I do have a whole theory. Like a common theme as we look through a lot of these things is that a lot of these creatures have two tails. So I mean, I don't know why, but a lot of the creatures have two tails or two tail segments or whatever you want to call them. But the Grabbit looks like a shrimp to me. That's what it reminds me of. It's got these, shrimp have all these little fillers, whatever. The Grabbits actually have ears, but they're not full ears. They're almost like antenna that have fillers coming off of them that make the ear shape, but it's not really an ear. So that's why it reminds me of that. And like JD pointed out earlier, the Grabbit doesn't look like it has eyelids. So I don't know how it blinks. Maybe it doesn't blink. Maybe it just runs around with its eyes open.
Like a snake or an alligator where it just closes over it.
I mean, the things on the side of its face definitely kind of give off like a catfish whisker vibe to me, at least.
Do it again, Devin. Can you demonstrate those eyelids again? Like that? Is that what they do?
That's awesome for this audio podcast. Devin was doing a weird thing with his hands. All right, we're moving on.
Watch the YouTube.
Yeah, we have a video portion.
Don't watch the video portion.
So what, Steve, if I may,
What
do you think the purpose of the Grabbits are going to be?
I'm going to say, like, do you mean as like a gameplay perspective or like in-world perspective?
In-world gameplay, like, are they there? Are they part of the environment? Are they going to be something?
I'm going to guess in-world perspective, like it's going to be like one of the major sources of food, just because, you know, we think of rabbits as not a huge staple because they're small, but everything in the Anthem universe is like multiplied by 10. So imagine being attacked by a rabbit that's 10 times its size, and there's probably a lot of meat on there. So I'm going to guess, like, with the amount of Grabbits that we have seen in the videos, that's probably a staple for them to eat. There has been a couple quick shots of big old hunks of meat inside the fort that we've seen. I'm guessing that's going to be mostly Grabbit. I mean, it's probably a very plentiful food source. Mm-hmm. So game-wise, I don't know if it has any gameplay value to like shoot a rabbit or a grabbit, sorry. But I mean, maybe you can just kill them to get an achievement. Like a pigeon, maybe 10,000 Grabbits and get a 5 gamer score or something.
2,000. That's a lot.
It is a lot, but
depends on how many are out there. So Stranger Things, yeah.
I mean, if they multiply like rabbits, the high population could be another reason why they are used as a food source. You know, like there's an overabundance of them.
Right.
Could be true.
I mean, it seems like there's a lot of predators, so I don't know. I think we're gonna eat a lot of Grabbit. You might be sick of Grabbit. Does it taste like chicken? I don't know, probably. All right, we're moving on to the space cow. So here we've got a pretty large. I mean, that's they said it was a who was it?
Right? They gave us the name, but I can't remember.
No, they didn't give us the name of the space cow. I believe it was Jonathan Warner in the AMA. He called it like their equivalent to oxen.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing this was what he was referring to. So we're going to call it the space ox or space cow. Space cow just sounds funnier. So these things, like the space cow is interesting because it has like these large chitinous plates on its back and on its side. Mm-hmm. And as this thing runs away, they actually open up. So it's almost like a protective shell, almost like a beetle, like a ladybug that can open that thing up. I don't think these things fly at all because we haven't seen them fly. Who knows? Maybe they're hiding wings under there. But they've got these large tusks. They have what it looks like their mouth is like a beak. So it also kind of reminds me of a very like an oceanic creature. It has a lot of those similarities. The plates look like they're right off of a giant crab. What was that old stop motion film where they had a giant crab? This was like back in
Attack of the 50-foot crab.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that could have been it. Was it Attack of the Titans? I think it was in that. So that was a tangent. So the space ox looks like it has big giant crab shells on it with the spikes and everything. So
I think we've found the unsanctioned portion of our show.
This is definitely unsanctioned. Like this is what you get. All right. We've been talking 49 episodes. We can go on.
We can talk about this. So we're seeing what like
something like from the ocean.
So like a crustacean.
So what's interesting though, like when I was getting this image, like I was zoomed in at 200%, and this like when the Walker
Strider.
Come on, Devin.
Steps by him, like you can see him, like you can't really see it in the video on regular unless you're zoomed in, but it like spits out stuff like when it freaks out, and it's also got a bunch of hair around its neck and face area, and I was like, that's interesting. A lot of their creatures have a lot of hair.
So is this like a buffalo, squid, crab, cow?
I don't know, but like on the side you can see like on its legs there's scales and everything, and when you zoomed in more you can see all the scales and stuff on there. But
definitely a strong maritime vibe we're getting with the scales and the water. Seems to be water is a big part of the planet that we're on right now. So maybe that's where everything. I wonder if this thing can swim. I wonder if everything can swim. Ooh, that will make our underwater exploration interesting.
There's no combat underwater.
Start swimming with cows. Yeah,
I did say exploration.
I know.
Exploration.
That is definitely the vibe I get. That these can. I mean, there's a very. Oh, that's just a tree.
That's a tree. So these trees we see here, these are tall trees.
All right, so moving on, the next thing we had a picture of. So as we look up through the Strider, there are some little flying creatures. And now I was looking at this a bunch, and I was like, "What is that? Is that a bird, or is that a bat?" And then looking at it more, I think these are just like, we'll see it later on when we fly by the wyverns that are getting shot by the turrets. I think these are just small wyverns. Like these aren't birds. It doesn't look like they have feathers. And then they have two tail segments. I think these are just small wyverns.
Well, they have 3, right? Unless
you're
those
right.
are their legs or something. But.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird that like Owen got real excited when we were flying by the turret. So when we saw the big wyverns, when it's like, dude, you got like baby wyverns hanging out on the front of your Strider, man. You just gotta like look outside the Strider. So I don't know if that's true. That's just what the silhouette looks like to me. I mean, you guys can all decide for yourself. We'll look at a picture of the wyverns as we go on, but I mean, this is. You guys have any comments on these tiny little birds that are hanging around, or is this just like set decoration that they don't even matter in the long run of the game?
Yeah, I bet they don't. I'm going with set decoration.
I'm sure we can shoot it, but
we might be able to. Well, unless this is his cutscene animation.
Well, that's what this whole section is until you go live.
But that's what I mean. But that's what I mean, saying like maybe these little guys don't exist in the game except for this piece. I mean, maybe it is just part of the animation. But who knows? I mean, who knows?
We don't. We're unsanctioned. All right, then.
Oh man.
Then we do get a picture of the nice little purple butterflies. A lot of butterflies. There's a lot of just like life in the game.
Did you know that a group of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope?
I did not know that.
Is it really?
It is. It's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like it's like the beautiful version of a murder of crows.
Yeah.
And so these butterflies that we see flying around.
All right. Next up, so this creature we actually know the name of. I'm gonna have to remember. One Discord user, I think his name was Pooba, pointed this out. I'd watched this video multiple times. I don't know if you guys saw this also. When they actually pass by these creatures, we actually scroll over one of it in the center, so we get the actual name. And this thing is called a Tassalar, Tasilar. I was calling it a space porcupine before, but apparently it's called a Tassalar, and we have a name for this thing.
I see you didn't watch my video breakdown of the 20-minute video.
I did. I totally did. I knew
this
that
was in the first episode.
But. No, it wasn't. I watched it. Anyway, Evan, you want to break down the Tassalar just like you broke it down in the first 20-minute episode?
So if you're looking here, do you have that other image, or I can bring it up here? I gave you one of the images that also gives this close-up. I like this because, one, it's really colorful, right? So you see it's got, what's that, like six tusks or horns or something coming off of it. 2 tails, again. But
Two tails, huh?
Yeah. It's like has really colorful camouflage or whatever it's trying to look like. I mean, it looks like camouflage to me, right?
Colorful camouflage. Does that serve its purpose or no?
Well, I mean, so far a lot of the stuff is really colorful, right? So I mean, a lot of the creatures are very colorful. So
it also reminds you of a lot of like sea creatures that are pretty colorful. So again, like some similarities there.
I also noticed if you look here, there's like fossils or bones right here above it. So
yeah, those would be carcasses, not fossils.
Well,
so
could you know? All right.
Can you imagine like something bigger trying to eat this and having this get stuck in its throat?
That's why it's dead. Right?
So maybe it's just me, but looking at this particular image, I kind of get like a deer or a like elk vibe, especially the way how the back legs look. And based off of that, I would probably say the protrusions along its body are probably closer. Like they might be more like antlers than they are like spikes or quills or something like that. Because I don't really see, like, in terms of like evolutionary purposes and that sort of thing, like this would just make it difficult to eat, and maybe like it's not like they're pointing outward, they're pointing behind it. So I guess sneaking up on it from behind is like a bad idea. But Like, I don't really see them they don't really look that sharp. They glow. I mean, in terms of it being like a hidden trap for like predators, it wouldn't really work. But I think it's more of I'm getting some deer vibes from it.
Good.
Yeah, that's very possible. My question is, how does it sit down?
That's what I was wondering the first time I saw it.
Very carefully.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you sit down, Teslar?
That's
Or
for the
Tesla, that's why
animators
they're
to
so
figure out.
angry.
Okay.
It is.
People are so angry, can't sit down. So pretty
Right?
interesting. I mean, these things have a health bar, so I guess we can shoot them. We can kill them. All right, so here are the wyverns that we fly by as they are getting shot at by turrets. So, like, looking at this silhouette compared to the little bat creature that we saw by the Strider, it's the exact same silhouette, only larger. So I guess wyverns just kind of hang out around turrets. Maybe I don't know. These are a lot larger, so I don't know what the life expectancy of a wyvern is, but
When I'm around, it's not very big.
probably not
I
much longer
shoot
around these
them.
turrets. So, and then we do have these other nice purple birds that fly by under us. So lots of creatures, a lot of life in this game.
Awesome.
It'll be interesting to see like how we do combat with the wyverns. I mean, we can't fire while we are flying. We can fire while we're hovering. So it'll be interesting to see if that's something, if they are even an aggressive animal in the game, or if they'll just pass us by or do whatever. So, any comments on this wyvern?
No, I'm good with the wyverns. I like
I mean,
them.
if we have wyverns, we're gonna have dragons, right? That's like a logical assumption.
No.
I don't think so. I think we're gonna have.
You
think
guys
we're
don't
gonna have
think there's dragons
Titans.
in the game.
No.
Because I mean, their other big franchise is Dragon Age. I think they're going to keep the dragons in that corner.
I mean, we've got wyverns. I'm sure there's wyverns in Dragon Age. I didn't ever play.
It's a
I think you just like
possibility.
sitting
right?
I actually don't think there are. There are definitely drakes, but not. I don't think wyverns. I think there's dragonlings and drakes, but no wyverns.
All right, moving on to this Ash Titan. This is the big bad that we saw so far. So, what do you guys think about the Ash Titan?
Wait, didn't you just say that we can't fire while flying?
No, you can't fire your gun while firing. There are some modes that you can do while you're moving, like the Ranger can do it super while it's mobile. I think there's one other.
Is that what we're seeing right here in this image? Is the Ranger doing his super?
Yeah, but I am 99% sure that you cannot fire while you are in flight, unless it's part of that super. So I could be wrong, but it's also an unsanctioned podcast, so take that for what it's worth. So I need your hot takes, guys, because I have a hot take. I'm not a huge fan of the Ash Titan. I'm not a huge fan of the way it looks. I'm not a huge fan of the way, like, the feelings it provokes in me when its crotch opens up and it fires a beam of heat out of its body.
Oh, it's out of its chest. Come on.
I don't know. Those plates open up all the way to its crotch, and that makes me kind of feel weird.
Makes you
So
uncomfortable.
hot takes, go. I need to know what you guys think about this Ash Titan.
I think it's going to be, I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see how the combat actually works for it because they're like, oh, it's a world event, you know, it's an ancient guardian. And I'm just like, so far all I've seen was that beam that shot out. And it's like, oh, we're too weak. We can't handle this. But it's like, well, what else is it going to do? So that'll be interesting to find out for the first time because I'm going to go up and hit it, you know. So, I mean, that's just how
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? I think everyone's going to.
Yeah.
But design-wise, Mike,
Could it be that this is a Titan with all of its with with everything stripped from it for demo purposes? Because like you're right, Steve. Like
Titan possible.
No. What I'm saying is this could probably be a high level Titan, but everything that could give away any kind of story or any kind of stuff that maybe they weren't ready to show us yet. Maybe it's all just been stripped off, and this is just like the base skeleton that exists underneath its armor, underneath its plating. I mean, it's a creature in this world that doesn't look like the rest of the creatures in this world. So maybe it's been stripped down. I don't know. Again, speculation. Maybe they didn't give us all of this, all of what this Titan looks like and can do.
I actually had a similar thought, Mike, except it was the opposite. Basically, that it may not be that it's stripped down. It might be that all the interesting stuff is inside the Ash Titan, because I mean, it opens up its chest and it's exposing its core, whatever. It looks like some kind of like heat or magma or lava. I don't know. I mean, usually when you refer to ash, it's usually either from a falling from a large wildfire or from a volcano. And ash is usually the very top layer of like the soil around like a volcanic area because it's just constantly in the air and it's almost like snow falling. And this ash titan, its exterior, like as you fight it, you might be breaking pieces off and that sort of thing. It could be all lava inside. It could be more like a volcanic titan after a certain point. But because it's like a titan of a certain area or something like that, and the exterior is cool and probably covered in ash, as you fight it, you're breaking pieces off of its carapace, its armored exterior, and you're slowly revealing like this like magma giant. I mean, that's the thought that I've had looking at it for this long. So
That would be cool.
Yeah, and I definitely think that my thought is kind of in line with yours, Mike, that it's low level. This is the stripped down. This is what you get for now, because we don't want to show you everything. Because if they show us the biggest, coolest Ash Titan, then that reveal when you're actually playing the game is kind of like, oh, we already saw this,
Right.
6 months ago. So, but yeah, it'd be cool, JD, if that is something that plates fall off of it as you're fighting it. It kind of changes the way it moves, the way it fights, the longer you fight it. So it's pretty cool. It's got plates that open up in the back, almost like a venting system. When it fires its blast, so it's probably like venting off some power so it doesn't just explode itself. So pretty interesting. I'm excited to see more of the Ash Titan, to see if they get bigger than this. I'm guessing they get bigger than this. So all right, moving on. We break down after they fight that, they go through and they fight the scars. We've talked about the scars a lot. Scar, we don't know too much about them because all we've ever seen is their suits. We don't know what they look like exactly. We know they have the Scar Hunters. Those things fly in the air. There's the Scrappers, which are basically the grunts. The Scouts are the Scar Snipers. And then we've got the Elite Hunters. We've got the Legendary Hunters, the Enforcer. And I'm guessing there's probably going to be more Scar types than that, but that's what we've seen so far. And then we get to my favorite part, is the spiders. And my question is, why does it always have to be spiders? I mean,
You sound like Ron.
wow, I'm not a huge fan of the spiders. So the first spider that we come across is called the Soldier. And that is going to be the most basic, common spider that you're going to fight, I guess. This thing, we've watched the video a bunch of times, and these things have giant like mandible tusks on the front of its body. Not just like normal spider got the tiny little pincers. They're mostly legs. These things have like massive, like skewer you, probably puncture javelin. We saw a lot of dead bodies as our players were going through this stronghold. So these spiders are massive, and they also have 2 tails, which is a common theme. So comments about the soldier spiders, guys? You guys spider fans? Non-spider fans? Terrified of spiders like I am?
It doesn't bother me.
I hate spiders.
I'm not terrified of them. I like them when they're not around me.
You like them when they're not crawling on you, crawling into your mouth?
So you guys remember? It was right around the time. Harry Potter came out. Remember that they call it a spider, but I don't think it's a spider. So you remember when Mad Eye Moody like makes the spider grow big?
Yeah, it's like a cave spider.
Is that what that's called, a cave spider?
Yeah, it's a cave spider.
So since that time, it seems like everything is modeling that cave spider.
Big flat plate.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just my thought, thinking of these spiders with their not really tentacles, but their pincers and their grossness. I don't like spiders.
I mean, like close up on this thing, like this thing is massive, and there's like a giant. I couldn't see any eyes on this thing, Devin. I don't know if when you're going through, if you saw how many eyes it has or where the eyes were at, but.
No, I mean, the eyes look like they're just going to be right there at the front near the top, kind of. They're not really protruding, maybe like a crab, but it looks like they're up near the top of the head, right in the front. So. And
this also has a lot of similarities to the way a crab would look. Like the edges of its armor has that little hair fuzz like a crab would have. So,
yeah.
Like, some similarity there. Even just the coloring looks something.
It almost looks like it's made of coral.
Yeah. because there is a lot of bumps, a lot of texture on it. It's not just flat. Like normally we've got spiders, they're either fuzzy spiders or they're, just kind of smooth, silky, gross things that shouldn't exist. So, and the soldier spiders actually have a jump attack. I don't think we have a video of it here, but one of the soldiers actually jumps. I don't know if it was a glitch in the game because it's at the same time that the swarm tyrant does like a ground pound attack, and the soldier spider kind of leaps up into the air. And I don't know if it gets lost or it just accidentally got shot up there, or if it actually has a jump attack. But that's also terrifying. So it has that. So you can thank the Bioware devs for that. But any other comments on these spiders? We're gonna move on to the next one. If not. So the next one we see also, to keep with the theme, has two tails. And this is the digester. So the digester, the first time we see it is when our player comes in. They're like, oh no, rescue that person. And we immediately ground pound onto that person to rescue them from the spider and murder that person as we try to help them.
That's a dead scar. It doesn't matter.
I mean, A for effort, I guess. But so these things they look like there's a cross between a scorpion and a spider. A lot smaller, a lot thinner, but they've got two very long tails on the back, and it looks like they actually have a projectile attack that they fire from it. So I don't know if they fire it from the tail or if they fired it from the mouth. I was assuming they fired it from the tail, but
so the acid attack comes. They shoot it out of their mouth. I put in another folder. I don't know if you saw that one.
How many folders did you put in here, Devin? One folder, man. Come on.
Well, I put specific folders for specific purposes, but
Oh, I see what you did there.
So up in the top where it says spitting spider, right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
So,
this is like frame by frame spitting spider.
Yeah, just because I knew we'd have this conversation, and I just wanted to, show you that it comes from his mouth.
All right, so questions and comments about this thing, because this thing is a lot different than the soldier. This is very spindly, like Black Widow style legs, super creepy. Yeah, like I don't like even looking at these things. I don't like spiders, guys.
So we might have to you might have to skip this level, is that what you're saying?
No, but spiders kind of gross me out. I mean, it's always,
Kill it with fire.
like, I understand why, like, they're interesting to watch. They're interesting to look at. Like, seeing a fully animated spider, like, even if it's real or if it's fake, it creeps you out. So it gets a reaction out of people. I mean, I don't know people that like love spiders. I know people that own tarantulas, but we don't talk about those kinds of people. So, all right, next up. So the next big creature we see is the swarm tyrant, and that thing's disgusting. It also has two tails. I know we've talked about the swarm tyrant a lot before. So
2 tails, 3 sacks, 12 eggs.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna clip out a part where Ben says she's got big sacks, and I was gonna clip that out, but I didn't think it'd be
appropriate.
Yeah, so maybe some of the time. So, you guys have any comments about the swarm tyrant?
I never go.
It just looks freaky, man. Like this one has a for sure crab vibe. Just the way its legs are formed, and then how it kind of sits up. It even looks like it's got 2 little like mantis things under him.
Yeah, it definitely has, like, it's got claws, like
yeah. It's some gross stuff, man.
JD there.
We did lose JD.
It's some gross stuff.
Oh, you missed. Did you not see the one where I showed you the worker spider with all the egg sacs on it?
The worker.
Yeah, I did see that one. Just wasn't interesting, so we passed it. Thanks for bringing it up.
Spider. Mike's gonna talk. He's gonna do what he does best while I look.
So we're looking at this swarm tyrant, and there's the part in the in EA 18 where he drops down and is like, "Hey, I'm here to kill you now." It was kind of exciting, but then like terrifying all at the same time. And then like the Colossus starts pulling out all of its guns and starts shooting and stuff. So that battle, I'm just kind of gearing up for it in my head, is going to be so fun, I think, because of the different mechanics involved and like all the ads and all the different kinds of ads that you're going to have to, okay, this is the digester, watch out for its jump attack. This is the spitter, watch out for its spitting attack kind of thing. So it's going to be fun.
Mike, you did a fantastic job. You're a great stand-in. I appreciate all the help that you give when I'm looking for things. So, Devin, you didn't help him out at all. You're kind of a jerk.
Hey, I was pointing out the things that you've missed. So
Thanks, Devin. All right, so this is the worker spider. So this thing has a bunch of egg sacs on its back.
It looks like egg sacs, or maybe those are skulls. I don't know. I mean,
I really hate spiders.
That's like
if
the
we
best
have a
shot they
spider
have.
that has egg sacs on it, man. Like, seriously.
and they pop and smaller spiders come out and they can crawl into your suit.
Can we just not do that?
It's just a bunch of pimples.
I can't even look at this. Sorry. All right. So next up, guys, what do we have? We have a space bear that we saw in the cinematic trailer. So this space bear, we're gonna call it a space bear. Do you guys think it's like more closely related to like an ape, like a space ape? It's got these huge long arms. Bears don't have thumbs. This thing's got thumbs. So do you think do we call it the space bear? Do we call it the space ape? What are you guys going with?
Well, didn't Ben call it a space bear?
Yeah, he called it a space bear.
We called it a space bear, and he just kind of went with it.
No, I think he
said that was the name they called it for.
He said that they called it internally for the longest time a space bear, and now they actually have a name for it.
And he can't
even remember. They can't get used to it. They're having difficulty switching to the new term, the actual name.
So looking at this thing, it's got a big chitinous shell on its back. So it's a space bear turtle cross. Also has that same hair stuff that Devin was talking about. Like thick, coarse hair. It's not fine fur. It's just
it looks like mangy. He looks mangy too. Like he hasn't been taking care of himself. Like he goes home at night and his wife is like, "How come you don't take care of yourself?" And he's like, "Leave me alone." And then his wife is like, "You never help out around the house either." And he's like, "Woman, let me be." And she's like, "You have to be better and go get those javelins that fly around our house." And he's like, "Fine, I will." And he leaves the house and he's angry, and that's why he goes at us.
This sounds very specific, slightly
to
the topic that we're talking about, but also very
He's putting in his own real life experiences.
I mean, I guess that's what makes the. All right, I'm
Who
sorry.
hurt you?
Oh boy!
All right,
Space Bear, man, Space Bear. That dude's seen some
It
stuff,
also looks
man.
a lot different. Well, I mean, not a ton difference from last year to this year, but the face is definitely different. So
the face is different and the back is different, unless they're two different creatures.
Yeah. He looks like Toka from Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah.
that's why I put Space Bear, Ape, Ninja Turtle.
Oh man, I understood.
Oh man,
he's never going to be anything else. He's freaking Toka.
Oh,
that's Toka,
babies.
He's going to fall down a hole. You're going to tickle his foot. He's going to get stuck. Wow. Well done, Mike. You just took his terrifying creature and you just
God.
Oh,
it's just a big baby.
You gave him a personality. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm here for you
God.
guys.
This is brilliant. I'm so happy right now.
I'm happy too. The last thing we've seen is we have the Space Wolves. Now, the Space Wolves also have two tails, because that's the thing in this game, is everything's going to have two tails. I don't know if it's for balance. Like, my joke was going to be like, because they don't have any romances in BioWare anymore, they just gave double the tail to every creature out there. But these things look massive. And
for all those people that want to chase tail, huh?
Oh, man. It's a family show. It's a family show.
Anyway, so we got Space Wolves. We don't have really clear shots of them. These looks like they hunt in packs. They're roaming herds. They do form herds. So, I mean, these things get destroyed by Toka over here. So one gets thrown off and just can't fly, and it has no wings. Sorry, Space Wolf. And yeah, I've got nothing else to say about these Space Wolves. They get destroyed. There's a lot of them, and they still just kind of, poor guys. You guys got any Space Wolf commentary? As you just watch this and you're like, man, these guys are just not fighting very well.
Well, I mean, the obvious thing is they're moving in packs. Like they are using pack tactics. One of them, like they're positioning around it. So,
they definitely look weird. There's no fur on them per se, but I put a couple shots in there where it kind of focused on them, where they were a little bit more clear. But I don't know. And it looks like they didn't have any teeth. I don't know. Their mouths look really weird when they are attacking. So.
Oh, they've got teeth.
Yeah.
It almost
everything
looks,
has two tails.
I don't know if it's like Barracuda style because these also have plates on them, but you're right, Devin. It doesn't look like they have fur.
Yeah.
Is that like you know what? If we design a game where none of the creatures have fur, then we don't have to do fur animations. We don't have to do fur physics.
But they all have little feathers.
And the feathers are probably. I'm sure that's not like a consideration. I mean, maybe it was.
Well, it could be. It very well could be a consideration, but I do have to say, hats off to the creature team because these are good looking stuff. Like,
You're just trying to suck up to Ben right now, aren't you?
I know I'm not. I actually I'm not gonna suck up to Ben. I think they're cool. I mean, I think the thing that's cool about them for me anyway is that they're just a new creature that I haven't seen before in a game, and it kind of, they're not just taking stuff from other games. Oh, like here's my inspiration. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit, and then I'm gonna make these relative to Anthem and specific to Anthem. So I think that's super cool. I like it a lot, is what I'm
really
saying. Except for the spiders, because I'm really not down with the spiders.
Yeah, spiders just, yeah. So I really like that they're mixing like these mammals. They're mixing it what it looks like to me. I don't know if this is like a design decision. This is just what I see, what I'm noticing. It looks like they're taking these water creatures, they're taking these land creatures, and they're just smashing them together. They're designing them from that, and I think that's a cool idea. There's not a lot of games that really explore like battling these giant crab creatures or whatever recently that we've seen, because doing underwater stuff is notoriously difficult in game design. So just because you're in a big body of water, so I really like that aspect of it. I like that design. I'm excited to see more. I mean, these can't be the only creatures that are on the planet, so it'll be exciting to see these larger. I'm guessing they can take any of these creatures, and you're like, oh, you thought this space wolf was big. Now look at this giant space wolf.
Now fight the ultimate boss.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I do just want to say real quick that I really like how every creature that we've seen or that we've been talking about so far has like some obvious obvious and like I guess large. I'm not sure of the word I'm looking for right now, but they have very obvious defense mechanisms on their body, and this really does it says a lot about the world itself. This is a very unfinished world. It's a very primal planet. There's tons of dangerous creatures out on there. I mean, even the predators, like the space bear and the space wolf, like, yeah, they don't have a lot of fur, but they have like some like armor plating on them, and it really begins to make sense, like why humans can't just go out without like big old strong suits with weapons that could pierce armor, because just the grapple, like just the spiders look like they have like a coral stone exterior. It's crazy. Everything looks so tough and looks like it requires massive firepower to take down.
Yeah, there's no way, if you're not in a javelin, you're going into any forest where a spider of that size exists, right? Not gonna happen. It's like, nope, there's not enough bug spray in the world. Not a big enough boot in the world. It's like, without a javelin, you're not going out.
Well, didn't they say like the grabbits are the size of people, right? So,
well, if you just look at the size comparisons, you jump out of your javelin and you're like, oh, hey, that thing's 6 foot tall.
Oh yeah, the grabbits. Yeah, well, the one where there is a shot of a grabbit standing up tall, and it would be as tall as you if you were out of the javelin. So, no thanks. Like, can you imagine how big the mosquitoes are in the planet?
What do they eat when they can't get Hobbit?
Yeah, for real. All right. So that's the last of the creatures, unless you guys have some creature comment that you've been dying to get out and you haven't been able to get out yet.
Just to get in my creature power suit.
Nope. I see what you did there. All right. So real quick, a couple things I noticed as I was going through these videos that I did not notice before. The players, when they are fighting the Swarm Tyrant, they apply a status effect to the Storm Tyrant itself, and we've been told that for larger creatures like a boss, it's going to take more than just one stack for that effect to apply to it. So as we were watching it, the white Colossus is actually able to get that fire effect on the Swarm Tyrant, and it lights on fire. and it lasts for about 4 seconds until it gets canceled. And then later on in the video, it gets lit on fire again, and it lasts for about 10 seconds. So I was wondering, like, okay, what happened that changed? So the first time they light it on fire, the storm actually shoots it with its ice power or whatever gun it's using that has ice properties, and that shot actually cancels that stack on the swarm tyrant. So it's not just once that stack hits, it's going to stay. Like, the other players will actually be able to affect that, it looks like. I reached out to Ben on Discord, and he responded that that's a system that they're still working on, so it might not work like that when the game launches. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion. Do you like it that if you set something on fire, that JD can cancel it with just, a random shot while he's trying to do damage on the creature also?
Do I like that? No, I'm not going to like that if he does that. But I do like the system. It makes sense. So yes, it makes sense. So Devin, you better get your gear right, because if you undo all of our hard work,
you'll follow my gear
because you weren't paying attention. No, it again going into just like we're real world stuff. It makes sense. Like if I set, yes, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. If I set something on fire, and you come by with water and you pour water on my campfire, I'm going to be upset at you. We should both be pouring fire on the campfire and not water.
Pour fire on the campfire. Devin, what's the implications gameplay-wise?
Gameplay-wise is you can't just be all willy-nilly, right? You can't just go in there with whatever. Granted, it's going to happen a lot, so I think that's where they're trying to tweak it. It's like it's going to be frustrating if you're going into stuff. But I guess it's really only going to make a difference in like strongholds and elder game content, where that kind of stuff actually matters. Like, okay, we're gearing up. This is what we're going as. This is what we're taking. So there's no possibility of people like, oh, I'm going to, screw up our stack here of fire by throwing an ice grenade or things like that. Because, once you start playing with your group, when you're trying to do the harder stuff, you're going to be prepared. So I can see that working fine. In both ways, because when you're playing casually, it's not going to be a big deal, I don't think. But it'll definitely be a big deal in the elder game content, like I said. But hopefully when you go into that, your friends are more prepared, and before you take off, it's like, don't use that new gun, all right, that has this on it. I know it looks cool and shiny, but that's not the activity we're playing.
That's not going to work here. That's the wrong damage type. So.
And it
we had that. Other games had that too, where in this case, it would have been damage type would do less or more, and so you had to coordinate then.
Right, but I don't think you were ever able to do something that would cancel something that another player in your team did.
Yeah.
So this is actually canceling the effect of stacking onto an enemy and then you nullifying it by shooting at it. I like this system because...
So there was this one game I played where... Sorry, Steve, because I just thought of this example. So there was this one game I played where one person had to be like the defensive guy, and another person would like go forward and try to like
I don't think
attack. And so if you're playing with this player who's like supposed to be on defense, and then you get, for sake of argument, let's say get scored on, and you're like, hey, what happened there? And then that player goes, I went forward. That can kind of cancel out the effect you're trying to go for. Do you have any experience with?
I'm kind of following you.
JD, how about you, right? Do you have any experience with this, JD?
So my thought is, Mike,
I have no idea what's happening right now.
It was multiple times.
So, personal offense made by Steven against Mike.
Apparently that happens a lot. So the one thing that I like about this system, granted, it provides for better coordination. Like it makes it so like the gear grind and looking for certain weapons is actually impactful and meaningful. Like just taking the best fire gun into any fight might not be the best idea. Being able to find a gun that, you know what, hey guys, this creature that we're going to fight is weak against this. If we all take this same thing, we won't be canceling out each other's stacks. We'll be building on each other's stacks, so it'll be more effective that way. And maybe there is one weapon that you do need to do for some other reason, and you have to coordinate. All right, we're going to hit it with ice now. and stop firing. You get the go ahead, you do the damage, you apply the stack, and then you go from there. I mean, it makes those battles, I think, a little bit more interesting than just, shoot it now, jump on the things. Does everyone jumped on the thing? Okay, now shoot it now. Maybe it provides a little bit more depth in that way. I mean, maybe it won't. Maybe
More
it'll
tactics.
just be.
Yeah,
It's more tactical. It's more tactical. It's okay when this Ash Titans opens up. Fire your ice effects in there. When we freeze it, now pull out your I'm not sure what other damage type is going to be, but pull out your water now and let's melt it down or something. So.
I think it's also going to make the storm even more like it adds just another layer of the support element to the storm, because the storm is centered almost entirely around elemental damage based off of what we've seen so far. If the storm is a type of javelin that you can switch its like primary elemental attack, so I think the one that was in there was alternating between ice and lightning.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically since its primary tools are elements, you may want to focus the rest of your squad in terms of what they're armed around its primary element at the time, because that's going to be boosting it. Yeah. So you're either going to be using the same type of element, or maybe like if there's an element that like cancels fire out like ice, there might also be an element on the other end of the spectrum that enhances its effects when in combo with it. Like we've seen the combo attacks and everything like that, so it makes sense that the inverse would be true. But like, what would boost fire? Like, I don't know. Like, would that be corrosive damage to make some like corrosive gas or something like that?
I have corrosive gas.
It's true.
That is.
We know you do. Like,
pretty bad.
Mark Dara did say that the storm, the elemental, is based off of gear. So, in one of his tweets.
So
he has a lot of tweets.
There's a lot of opportunity for just more. What's the word I'm looking for? For more variety in your play style. So hopefully it's not just you find the best mortar, and that's the best mortar for everyone. Hopefully the gear pieces will, based on your preference, based on your play style, you'll be able to use a bunch of stuff in order to have fun in the game.
Well, it also adds replayability.
Right.
Maybe one set of stuff isn't the only thing that will take down said enemy. Maybe you get a different reward for taking him down a different way. So instead of just beating him once, you can go in and change up your elements, change up your fire effects or your AoEs or whatever it is that they're going to use, and maybe you get something different out of it.
Yeah,
I think it's a good system. I hope they get it to work.
And I'm guessing if they do go Diablo style, I mean, you'll have a soldier, but then maybe you'll have a soldier that has a lightning affinity or a fire affinity or something like that. So that weapon that you took last week isn't going to work because now these spiders like to hang out in electrical storms and they kind of dig that. So your electricity isn't going to do as much as it did last time. So
just think if you could make like your own community challenges, right, for your guild or whatever. If they have, they're going to have scores and stuff like that. But say it's like, all right, this stronghold, you need to go in with all storms, and it's only ice, elemental damage. But you're going, so it makes it harder. So you can set up your own, stats or whatever to make everything harder. So how interesting you could make it where it's like, okay, let's see who can go with the worst possible,
possible build,
and
see how long it takes to do it.
Yeah,
or how many times you die, how many times, whatever.
Because if you could make your own stuff, that's going to make it also more last longer and be able to be replayable a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
Being able to change those modifiers in a level would be outstanding for the community, because then, like you said, there's tons of community events, community challenges that you could do, compare scores, compare gear. This is what we did. This is how we did it. Melees only, that whole thing. So that would be pretty awesome.
Did you say melees only?
Melees only. Yep.
Slappers only.
The only other thing that I noticed while we were fighting this Hive Tyrant, like if you go to, I don't have this down because we were talking about creatures, but there's like a big giant orb that the Swarm Tyrant gets hit with of electricity that like pulses for a couple seconds then disappears. I know we saw the big lightning that comes crashing down from the storm, but I didn't recognize the orb. Like it happens at It's like at the 1835 if someone wants to go check that out. Just kind of something that I noticed. I didn't know if that was a different ability, maybe one of the special abilities from the storm, but
Yeah, it could be an ultimate. So
yeah, it didn't look very ultimate. It was just like a little pulsating. It didn't look like ultimate compared to the Colossus, like throwing tiny nukes. It wasn't on that level, so I don't know what it was. Anyway, guys, I think that'll do it for episode 49 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate everyone that hung out in Mixer, everyone that was live and will watch later. So we appreciate.
Don't forget to join for your chance to win an Interceptor pen. You can put it on your lapel. You can put it on a hat. You can put it on a lanyard. Devin, throw up that pin again. Let's see what it looks like. Model it for us, Vanna. Nice. Look at that pin. You might not even. Devin might even sign it for you. No, he won't.
That'll appreciate the value. Yeah. Well, make sure you join that. Make sure you. What is it? We're doing a retweet and a follow, right?
Yep. And
what about those who already follow us?
Then they will
have to send up a retweet it. That's it.
Just retweet it. Okay.
And then we'll pick a winner.
Good luck to you. We sure will. It'll be episode 50. It'll be a big episode. We'll all be wearing tuxedos.
Probably not. But until next time, there's a Shaper Storm on the horizon. We'll see you on the other side.
Peace.
Later.
I need mic checks. This is Steven, and this is episode 49 of the Freelancer Codex podcast.
It's an inaccurate mic check. You're never that loud or that close.
This is Steven Lamson. This is episode 49, and I hate all my co-hosts.
Or have that much personality.
Burn. Hey, how's it going, Steven? Good.